The Galactic Council chamber hummed with the usual cacophony of 1,000 different species, each convinced of their own superiority. Ambassador Louis Chen stood at the central podium, his dark suit a stark contrast to the bioluminescent robes and crystalline exoskeletons surrounding him. Behind him, his attaché Lisa Martinez clutched a data tablet, her knuckles white. "The Council has deliberated," announced High Arbiter Velkoth, his three eye stalks swiveling to fix on Louis. "Humanity's application for membership is denied." The word hung in the air like a death sentence. Louis's jaw tightened, but he maintained his diplomatic composure. "May I ask on what grounds?" "You are too violent," came the response from Counselor Shiara, her melodic voice dripping with disdain. "Too unpredictable. Too young. Your species has barely left its cradle world, and already you bring weapons to diplomatic meetings." Lisa glanced down at the ceremonial sidearm on Louis's hip, a relic from Earth's naval traditions, purely symbolic. She wanted to speak up, to defend their people, but protocol demanded silence. "We've presented our technological achievements," Louis said, his voice steady. "Our cultural diversity, our willingness to learn and contribute. What more do you require?" Velkoth's chitinous plates rattled, the Keltari equivalent of a dismissive laugh. "Humanity has nothing to offer that we don't already possess. Your mathematics are primitive. Your medicine is barbaric. Your engineering is crude. Perhaps in another 1,000 years, you'll be ready for civilized company." The council chamber erupted in agreement, clicks, whistles, and harmonic vibrations that translated into universal mockery. Louis gathered his materials with deliberate calm. "Then we won't waste any more of your valuable time." He turned to leave, and Lisa fell into step beside him. "Louis," she whispered as they walked through the crystalline corridors toward their ship. "What do we tell Earth?" "The truth," he replied. "We tell them we're on our own." 15 years later, Counselor Shiara materialized her holographic presence in the emergency session, her usual serene expression replaced by something humans would recognize as panic. "They've done what?" she demanded. High Arbiter Velkoth, now bearing the scars of age and stress, displayed the data. "Humanity has established 700 independent colonies across 3 galactic arms. They've developed faster-than-light travel that exceeds our own by a factor of 3. They've created adaptive AI systems that don't require the consensus network. And most disturbing of all, they've made first contact with 6 previously unknown species and established trade agreements without council oversight." "This is impossible," declared Counselor Thex, his crystalline form pulsing red with agitation. 15 years? It took the Velkari 2 centuries to colonize a single arm. Humans don't ask for permission, noted Junior Counselor Rixta, one of the few members who had actually studied humanity after their rejection. "They iterate, adapt, and improve at an exponential rate. We told them they were too primitive, so they stopped trying to meet our standards and created their own." The holographic display shifted to show a human vessel, sleek, efficient, bristling with unknown technology. It was the ISS Perseverance, and it was approaching council space. "Are they attacking?" someone asked. "No," Velkoth said quietly. "They're responding to our distress call. The Scourge had appeared 3 months ago, a silicon-based swarm intelligence that consumed technology and converted it into more of itself. It had already devoured 7 council worlds, and the combined fleets could barely slow its advance. In desperation, the Council had broadcast a general distress signal to all spacefaring civilizations. Humanity had answered. Louis Chen was no longer an ambassador. At 62, he commanded the Human Relief Fleet as Admiral. Lisa Martinez, now a decorated captain in her own right, piloted the lead ship. "Admiral," Lisa said over the comm, "we're receiving the Council's tactical data. It's not good." Louis studied the readouts. The Council's strategy relied on overwhelming firepower, throwing ships at the Scourge until it was destroyed. It was bleeding them dry. "They're still fighting the last war," Louis muttered. "Lisa, transmit our counterswarm protocols to the Council fleet and deploy the EMPs. Sir, the Council specifically said EMPs wouldn't work. The Scourge adapts too quickly." "Their EMPs won't work," Louis corrected. "Ours pulse at randomized intervals with variable wavelengths. The Scourge can't adapt to chaos." Velkoth watched in astonishment as the human fleet executed a maneuver that violated every principle of orthodox space combat. Instead of maintaining formation, the ships scattered into seemingly random patterns. Then, in perfect synchronization, they unleashed a cascading wave of electromagnetic pulses. The Scourge, which had consumed 3 Council dreadnoughts just hours before, suddenly went dark. Its hive mind fractured, unable to coordinate against the unpredictable human technology. Human Marines, augmented but not uploaded, still organic and adaptable, boarded the Scourge vessels and deployed nano-disassemblers. Within 6 hours, the threat that had stymied the Council for months was neutralized. Lewis materialized in the Council chamber, his holographic form standing once again at the central podium. Velkoth noticed the human didn't bow, didn't show deference. He simply stood, waiting. "Admiral Chen," Velkoth began, his voice lacking its former arrogance, "the Council wishes to express its gratitude. You saved billions of lives. Humanity has proven itself invaluable." "We did what needed to be done," Lewis replied. Shiara leaned forward. "The Council would like to extend a formal invitation for humanity to join." "No." The single word silenced the chamber. "We appreciate the offer," Lewis continued. "But humanity isn't interested in membership anymore. We've built our own networks, our own alliances. We've proven to ourselves that we don't need validation from others." "But the resources," Velkoth protested. "The technology sharing. The mutual defense pacts." Lisa, standing beside Lewis's hologram, allowed herself a small smile. "We're not closing our doors," Lewis said. "Individual Council species are welcome to establish bilateral relations with humanity. Trade agreements, cultural exchanges, research partnerships, we're open to all of it. But we won't subordinate ourselves to a body that rejected us for not being good enough." "This is unprecedented," Councillor Thex objected. "Yes," Lewis agreed. "It is. Humanity has a saying. Don't set yourself on fire to keep others warm. You told us we were too violent, too young, too primitive. You were right. We were all of those things. But you forgot that we're also relentless, adaptable, and we don't give up." He paused, letting his words sink in. 15 years ago, you rejected humanity. Today, humanity is giving you a choice. Adapt to a galaxy where you're not the only power players, or get left behind while we continue building the future. The transmission ended. In the silence that followed, Velkoth looked at his fellow counselors. For 10,000 years, the Galactic Council had decided who was worthy of the stars. Now, the humans had decided the Council was the one that needed to prove its worth. And somewhere in the depths of space, aboard the ISS Perseverance, Admiral Louis Chen and Captain Lisa Martinez shared a quiet drink. Looking out at the stars they'd claimed not through permission, but through pure human determination, humanity had been rejected, and they'd never been more free.